Hello, Duncan. How are you, my man?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm doing well, and welcome everybody else to this fine podcast that we have going on between myself and the big man, Duncan McDade up north.
Well,
Today, today we're going to be talking about the five, I suppose, the five most potent movements that each of us have selected to be able to contribute to a life of longevity, wellness, and vitality. And I just thought that would be a really cool kind of discussion to have.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. When you posed it, I was like, that is because it starts off on quite a narrow field, but I feel like we can branch out and there's actually a few different avenues my mind took as soon as you said it. So I was like, okay, yeah, that actually that'll work.
Great. And yeah, we don't share each of our movements with each other before we jump on, which I think
Uh,
adds to the excitement of the whole thing. But I think we go one for one. What do you reckon?
Done. Yeah, sounds like a plan. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first, and
Nice.
I've probably got a sense that I may have we may be a common in this one, but I'm going to go for it anyway.
Yeah, okay. We
This
should have
is
done a blind reveal of all five of ours.
yeah, exactly.
You
That'd be
know.
good, but
Oh,
we don't have the tech, nous, or time to be able
foresight. Yeah.
or foresight. Yeah, but I'm going to go for the godfather of all movements in my book, which is the squat.
Nice. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, and the reason I go for this is because it replicates so much of life that functional aspects of life
Yeah.
we either A do or should be doing. And the reason I love the squat is because every time you sit down to go to the toilet, you're squatting. Every time you get up from bed, you're doing a form of the squat. You're using squat in so many aspects of your life, and so many people neglect that aspect of their life. So more squatting means more better.
Yeah, you should have that as your tag.
According to the Oxford English Dictionary.
Dictionary. Yeah, nice. Yeah, mate, I couldn't agree more. Like, if you're looking at a foundational exercise that everybody has to achieve, just the basics I remember one of my first managers, he was this big American dude, and he was like, just go away and come back when you've given me 200 hours underneath the squat rack. And I was like, okay, yeah. He's like, that's formatively, that's like what you need to do because everybody's squat pattern is slightly different, and it does take some figuring out. It took a lot of figuring out for me to get all the different variants and get comfortable being in the squat position, low, medium, all of the above, to actually, be able to lift volume, to be able to lift weight, and then to be able to do the different types of squats, single leg, double leg, all of that. So, yeah, I can see why you went with that one.
And there are other variations that we talk about, and then there's the variations in levers based on the individual. And you and I are two perfect examples of
Yeah.
variation in levers. Like my
Yeah. Short
my
levers, long levers. I mean, it was also interesting on that note to go like, yeah, you always saw these like perfect squats and being able to fit into that and conform with that. I always found quite difficult having the long levers, like so, but I wasn't aware of that until much later on in my journey. So actually understanding that your squat's going to look different to the next person's squat, I think probably could be, yeah, quite a valuable piece of information as you cough up a lung.
I was definitely coughing up a lung. The mute button was my friend there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Um,
I
so my mind
just
went.
I just want to
Oh,
add before you move on to your first one. I just want to add. Sorry,
no,
I
no,
just
no, I'm
wanted to
just joking.
add a ritual that I have. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I have every night once the kids go to bed, I sit in a squat for up to 30 minutes.
Do
Uh,
you?
yeah, I do.
Yeah, I didn't know.
when I'm sitting and watching TV with me bride,
Yeah,
uh, I sit with my lower back just kind of nestled against the couch base.
yeah, okay.
I just sit in a deep squat, and it
And
opens
why
up.
do you do that?
It just gives me my body a chance to open my hips, my lower back, my knees, my ankles up to its fullest expression of what their capacity is. And over I feel like I've done it for now 6 to 8 months, and over the months, it's just given my body a capacity to be able to just become familiar with that position.
Okay,
And
yeah, sure.
I feel like my any ankle issues that I've had in the past, which I've had many of, have been like they don't exist anymore. And I'm not saying it's directly or 100% attributed to this, but I definitely think it is creating a
Part of it, then it helps, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah, definitely without a doubt.
Awesome. Yeah, mate. And a great little tip for people. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes, it could just be 3 minutes, right? But
To be 1 minute and just build up slowly.
yeah, and if we're products of our environment, changing that environment in that way is super easy.
It's a simple habit stacking thing. I sit there, I'm watching TV instead of lazing on the couch like a cartman. I could sit in a squat and do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Great, nice, love it.
Um, Sorry, mate, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
It's okay. I think I actually interrupted you first, but I will now go ahead. So my mind, when you said top five exercises for longevity, I look at it like, what are the things that are most impactful on longevity? And your mind has obviously shifted for the first one to the functionality. So how do I function over a long period of time? Squats being such a great basis for that. The other side to it is like, what incurs the physiological response that's going to impact me on a higher level. So what we know now is that a great indicator for surviving into old age well is to have a great amount of muscle mass. So what is it that's going to stimulate the biggest amount of muscle mass and growth? And then the other side was like mobility. So again, your ability to get up and down off of the ground unaided is another great indicator of for longevity, basically, right? Like it's another great indicator for how well you're going to survive later on into life. So these were the factors that was weighing up when I was sort of thinking about what it was that I was going to what it was that I was going to choose. So I guess from a muscle mass perspective, it's going to depend. It's going to need to be a big bang exercise. Is one of the sort of early terms that I was taught as a PT 17 years ago. Was that you need all of these multi-joint, multi-muscle, big bang exercises, and then getting up and down off of the ground. I thought was going to be another sort of key core element to it all, and then lastly mobility. So I'm going with the Turkish get up
Great movement.
first and
Great movement.
foremost.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. I weighed up a couple of others, and a couple of others will come in down the track. But I'm going with my number one, the Turkish get up, because if you're coming off a low base of muscle mass, you're going to be able to put on some muscle throughout the body. It's not a core muscle growth exercise. You won't see many bodybuilders in the gym doing Turkish get ups regularly.
If you load that bad boy up,
You can really load that up. And if you're coming off a low muscle base, you're going to put on muscle no matter what it is that you do. And so this is a way that you're going to challenge a vast amount of muscles in a number of different ways. For those of you that don't know what a Turkish get-up is, you're lying on your back and you're taking a kettlebell or a dumbbell from the ground to above your head. You're standing, and then you're going back into that lying down position. So it challenges your core, your shoulder stabilizers, your hip mobility, which is again another reason why I used it. And it's obviously loading up the process of getting from lying down to standing. And like one of the number one way we end our lives is we fall. Like you fall, you can't get back up, or you injure yourself. in that process, and then you go into hospital, and a lot of people sadly don't make it back out. So yeah, for me it was the Turkish get up, the different ways in which you can utilize it, and it's probably hit my three core metrics for this question the best.
I rate that heavily, and I also love the way when I pose the question, I love the way that our minds kind of went in slightly different directions, the same direction, but like a different shade of direction,
Yeah, for sure.
which is amazing because they're both as equally valid as one another. But the Turkish get up, in my opinion, hits all of that functionality as you mentioned, building muscle growth. And I'm so big on being able to build people's resilience to be able to get down and stand up from the ground without assistance or as little assistance as possible, especially as we continue to age. As you mentioned, I've been doing a lot of research into this, and yeah, it's unequivocal. Once people in a later age do have that fall, it's really hard to recover from something like that if they don't have the faculties to be able to recover with ease.
Yeah, and that isn't just because they've been prone to falling, but obviously also lower amounts of muscle mass make you weaker and therefore more prone to falling. And then lower bone density is going to impact the impact of falling over. So you're going to suffer more because your bones don't handle it as well. And again, yeah, it's another core reason why people struggle once they get into a later age. And another thing that I think that loading up a get up will solve.
Love it. Speaking of needing to have your faculties to be able to get up and down and have adequate muscle mass, and but a thing that also comes to my mind is the ability to be able to navigate inconsistencies in the world around us and our body in space and time, which
Yeah.
to me kind of shouts out balance as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
No.
and so many of us struggle with this because we don't need to exercise balance if we don't choose to. The
Yeah.
only the only times that we need to exercise balance is unfortunately sometimes when it's too late.
Yeah. When you've lost it.
Yeah, when you've lost it, but it is a skill that you can continue to develop, and it's that neuromuscular connection so much that we need to be able to develop that balance range. So it's kind of, my next movement is a bit of a two-prong movement. The macro or the meta movement, so to speak, is the deadlift, which once again replicates functionality, picking shit up off the ground and putting it back down again. And if you can load that hinge movement in that mechanical fashion to be able to do that in in a fashion where you're kind of creating that ability to kind of load up over time, progressive overload, that's going to be a really beneficial thing. But to add to that, aspects of single-legged deadlifts to be able to challenge your balance is going to be a really powerful thing for you to be able to just understand where you are in space and time, and to add to that, doing things like single-legged just single-legged balancing movements with your eyes closed as well, being able to actually navigate yourself in space and time whilst removing a sense. So many of the elderly will wake up and go to the toilet when the lights are off and fall over something, and that's the cause of them falling over and breaking their hips. So to be able to navigate yourself with a sense being removed can also be a really powerful thing.
100%. Yeah, for sure. It's a really good point. And a really, the deadlift's an obvious one, but it's a really well articulated, taking that to the next level that, you wouldn't necessarily think about when thinking about all the different deadlift patterns is actually, can you perform that, on one leg, challenge your balance, but then can you take another element away from it? Can you close your eyes and do it that way, and how that's going to affect somebody's ability when they're aging? I think it's really really poignant. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. Interestingly, they did studies on back pain and the hinge pattern, and they found that people with a good hinge pattern, they looked at actually ladies that were in the Ganges, bending over all day, because they were interested that these women spent their lives bent over, but were still not getting high rates of back pain. And so they had long hamstring lengths. And so they had these beautiful neutral spines as they were bent over, doing what they were doing in the Ganges. And they found, yeah, much lower rates of back pain in people that had good hinge patterns. So longevity, but also people that suffer with back pain. I think one of a key movement to understand and to nail is your deadlift, your hinge pattern.
That's it. And a lot of people in the West would probably look at people in the Ganges doing that and going, "Oh, those poor bodies! Like they're putting themselves through so much, pain and arduous torture doing this stuff." But the reality is they're stronger, they're more resilient because they're exposing their bodies through to these natural patterns that we in the West just actively are avoiding.
Well, we do it really poorly now. Yeah, you're right. In the West over here, we sit down for vast amounts of the day, and then we go to bend over to pick something up, and we'll do it. We'll do it quite badly with a rounded back and not engaging the spine. And I love the deadlift with a neutral spine and without a neutral spine. So I've got no issue with the rounding of the back when it's done deliberately, but repetitively, consistently over time, formed because of weakness. That's that's not ideal. And often I think is a causative effect for someone that has long-term back pain.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're loading your back up as if you were to do a heavy deadlift, but you're as a byproduct of that, rounding your spine, there are obvious issues with
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
And
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
purposely, doing something like a Jefferson curl, where it's mimicking a similar kind of hinge pattern with straight legs, and rounding your spine, I can see a lot of value in that.
Yeah, 100%. Nice, man. I like it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
It also, yeah,
sorry,
definitely. It also definitely took one of the ones that was on my list.
the Deddy.
100%. Deadlift
Yes,
was the first thing that came to mind. Yeah,
absolutely.
I was actually, yeah, I thought that was what you were going to say as number one, but yeah, no, deadlift was the first thing. It's the thing I think we do the deadlift even more than we do the squat.
We
Um,
do. We do.
yeah, it's probably similar, but I think it's also one of the, yeah, again, leading causes of back pain is just people bending over and doing it poorly, whether it's in the gym or whether it's just at home. All right. So my number two. So we're going back functionality, muscle building, and longevity. So my number two was carries and hangs, because grip strength is a byproduct of how your whole nervous system's feeling. So if you want to get an indication on how your nervous system's doing, go and challenge your grip strength and understand how that relates to what would be your normal level. And I think if we're talking about functionality, you're looking at improving your gait cycle, so your ability to walk, because squatting and deadlifting is fantastic, but you might do 10 to 20 of those a day. You're going to do, thousands of steps a day. So if you want to improve someone's functionality, improve the way that they walk, hence doing a carry. And an element of carrying is obviously having your grip strength. You can do offset carry, so you can challenge the core in a different way. And we can do backwards walking, frontwards walking, sideways walking. There's just so much variation that you can do within that framework. And then I added in hangs just because I think that they fit sort of perfectly together. Like, not that you would superset them because you'll burn out your grip, but I think that in terms of where you might place, squats and deadlifts fit very nicely together. I think hangs and carries sort of fit very nicely together underneath the same framework or label. The dislocation of the spine or the decompression of the spine and the shoulders, and then also your grip strength, which is Peter Attia has come out recently and popularized the notion that you need to be able to, as a male in your 40s, hang for 2 minutes. I think that might be a little excessive. That's very elite level hanging, but improving your hanging is absolutely going to optimize your performance now, and therefore later. If you've got a strong grip, I can open jars, I can carry shopping in. There's a number of different factors when we get later in our life that if I've got these key core exercises in my program and I've developed them out, that I'm going to be performing optimally later on.
I mean, they've done studies on grip strength and longevity, and a study which I can't specifically cite right now, but as I recall, the ability for somebody's grip strength was almost more prominent than blood pressure, which
Right.
which is pretty powerful. So someone's grip strength is not just simply their ability to be able to grip onto something, but there's other ramifications associated with it. Like I said, that mind-body connection, your ability, your nervous system. There are so many other things associated with grip strength, which is such a powerful thing. And the things that you talked about, if you're low on resources, to be able to walk past the playground and hold onto or hang from some monkey bars, and just do that every time you walk past a kid's playground. You can do it when you look at the world as a gym. You've got the ability to be able to train things when you're carrying you're shopping from the grocery store. Think about parking a little bit further away, and that's a great way to replicate farmers carries. So that's also another way to be able to exercise something like that.
Love it.
Okay. Adding on to what you said, and this is just simplifying, it's an element of farmers carries, and that's walking.
Yep.
So many people don't walk for long enough, and our bodies are designed to be in motion, and they're designed to be in motion a lot more than what we currently have them in motion. So to be able to walk for, I believe, the common kind of thought is 10,000 steps a day, but I believe the studies say 7,000 steps and up is the kind of pivotal point to be able to have. To be able to walk those 7,000 steps is just so important, as I said, to be able to give your body often a rest from just sitting in front of the computer for whatever job you're doing. Another great thing to be able to do is to have that walking after meals, to be able to digest your meals and to be able to lower your blood glucose levels after you do have those meals. Being able to be outside and expose yourself to natural sunlight whilst you're doing that is an obvious added benefit. It's going to enhance your recovery from strength sessions as well when you're doing these. And also, it's just going to reduce your risk of various forms of chronic disease and improve your heart health.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's a lot to digest, and it's just so spot on, and like there's so much goodness in what it is that you just said, that there needs to be sort of a bullet point document that goes with this. Like walking in and of itself, great form of exercise, underutilized. The community aspect that you get a lot of times when you go for walks, you often go for walks with people, you go with your dog and you go to a park and you chat to people. Like there's so much goodness there. Digestion, as you touched on, lowering blood sugar levels after you've eaten, like sensational. The digestive tract doesn't have any muscles that contract in and of themselves. So you need to move in order to aid digestion and to sort of push everything down. Like, just so good. And one of the key markers for longevity is, if it'd be in the top 5, is just overall movement. So we're not just talking about training, it's just movement. So if your goal is to get to 10,000 steps a day, and I think it's infinitely better to goal for 10,007, although I agree, and I've seen the research suggesting that 7,000 is enough. I think getting to 10 pushes you out of your comfort zone in our modern day lives. And that's what I really like about it. I think 7 is achievable. And is not a bad metric to go between 7 to 10 on a weekly basis. But I think if you can try at least a few times a week to try and push it out to 10 to 12, then your overall movement throughout the day has to go up. You
Right.
can't, it's very difficult to do that in like a one stop bang. And it's much, much better for you if you can incrementally move throughout the day. If you sit for prolonged periods of time and then you move in a condensed period of time, it's actually not much better for you than just sitting for the whole time anyway. So, yeah, mate, I think that's magic.
Uh,
Long way of saying, I agree.
you agree. I was going to add something to it, but I've forgotten it.
Fun.
So I shall move on to yours. Your
That's
next.
I've just momentarily forgotten where I was going. No, I haven't. So when you say exercise, it conjures in the mind, gym exercise. But when I was thinking about longevity, I thought of a different type of exercise that I think actually will be so it would be a core tenet of everything that I do, but also for longevity, I think is and functionality, I think is the top marker. You're smiling like I feel like you know what I'm gonna say. Do you want to have a guess?
I know you. I know you. I'm going to try it. I'm going to
Go,
try and
go.
guess.
Yeah.
And it's an exercise. It's something to do, but it's not an exercise in the most classical sense of exercise. But my sense, my spidey senses are reaching out to you. I hope I'm right.
So
Is
do
it
I now.
is it breath work?
It is breathwork.
Oh!
Nice, mate. Yes, you clearly know me. So I talked earlier about sort of the hierarchy, really, of exercise in terms of how you can impact someone's functionality, and deadlifts and squats sit right up there, but they were lower down in my hierarchy than like gait cycle and walking, because we do walking more often. Now, the only thing that the body performs more often than walking is breathing. So, let's say you're doing 10,000 steps a day. Well, you're doing 50,000 breaths a day. So if I want to improve someone's functionality, if I can improve their breathing, it has way more impact on their overall functionality than improving their squat, deadlift, or even walking pattern, right? And if you've got a better breath cycle, you're going to lower your cortisol levels over the period of the day. You're going to aid digestion better. You're going to lower your overall stress markers and levels, as your body represents how it is that you breathe. So yeah, I think adding in a daily or weekly breath work or meditation practice, I think, can be hugely beneficial. And for longevity, you can see that starting at the root and building out, you're going to have a big impact over the period of your life.
It's such a powerful thing. And you taught me this, it's an obvious, when it's said out loud, it's a very, very obvious contribution to exercise, breath work, and being able to consciously articulate your breath in a powerful fashion. And the way you explained it to me first and you explain it to me now is breath affects our daily life more than anything else. So why wouldn't you exercise the very thing that is having a greater power over the way you're expressing yourself on a daily basis?
Yeah.
And that's going to lend itself in a greater fashion to when you're sleeping, even.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a couple of key metrics to look at when you're looking at the breath. So you're looking at the rate of breath, and you want below 20. I ideally want it down around that sort of 6 to 12 marker, but you want below 20 breaths per minute. And you're looking at the framework of your breath. So a lot of us shallow breathe and we're up in our chest up here when we breathe. What that means is that you're not getting the diaphragm involved as much, and you're not getting that lower lung filch. The lower lung is actually where you transport a lot of the oxygen into the blood. So you lower your blood oxygen levels by breathing up here, and that stresses the body out. And so your framework for your breath is something that you really have to look at, as well as the rate in which you are breathing. And a lot of the wearables that we see now actually track this for you. So yeah, you can actually early onset predict when someone's going to get sick or injured based on their fluctuation of their breathing rate.
Yeah, love it. And your breath work's going to have an impact on your posture. Also, the amount of time that you sit is going to have an impact on your breath inadvertently. As you mentioned, breath and the way you kind of deliver it is going to have an impact on your overall cortisol levels and your inflammation in your body.
Yeah, mental health, like all of it can be impacted because it's both autonomic and somatic. So it's something that you can deliberately do, but it's also something that just carries on going, whether you're thinking about it or not.
Yeah,
You can actually trigger a response from the nervous system based on how it is that you breathe. So yeah, it
yeah.
gives you control over some of the autonomic responses in your body, which is wild.
I love this, mate. And we're not having a great deal of overlap, which is just
No,
so
no,
good.
not at
So
all.
good.
I am gonna have to cut it short though.
That's cool, man. If you got to
We
run,
might just have time just for the three of each. But we got through six, which is pretty good.
mate, I think that's epic. We can save the rest for something else, but
Yeah.
they are six pretty powerful movements that everyone can implement.
Oh, I
Uh,
think if you did a program, a daily program where you squat, deadlifted, carried, hanged, did some breath work and some walking,
you're good.
you great. Like that's it. If you're just looking for longevity, just nail down that program and you're away.
Unbelievable. Thanks, Dunk. Thanks once again. I know you got to go tend to matters, so I appreciate it all. And thanks, guys. If you have any more further questions about longevity, we are here to help.